Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Then today we are going to talk about data types. Data type is a kind of a very big topic in itself. Till now we have covered right case types where we have to give the classes, we have to check which is organization, what is application layer, what is division layer, what is a unit layer. Same thing happens with the data type. Whenever we create a data type, we have to check for the reusability. For example, employee records. Employee records should exist at the organization layer. Because in our organization, we can create multiple case types. Those employee details should be accessible in all those case types. Same way, we have to do some logic part here, that which layer should go at which place. Now, data type basically is a collection of single values, value list and group of fields. Group of fields as in page property or the page list. Because till now, if you remember, we are creating properties directly in the case type like first name, last name, right? They are not in the data type. For example, let me share. If I go to case type, go to insurance. You see, here we are creating this data model inside the case type. Right. But suppose if I create one more case type here. Let's say this is insurance. I'll create one more. The data model will be different. But customer name address, these are kind of generic terms. It should be accessible on the organization layer. It's a very bad practice to create properties directly on the cases which are reusable. That's why Pega provided us a concept that is our data type. Data type, we can create and reuse the fields. When we start creating data type, there are a couple of things that we have to sort in mind first. First thing is first, we have to understand the business scenario. Suppose, right now we are talking about the insurance. With respect to insurance, we have to identify the data objects. For example, when we are dealing with insurance, what kind of data objects we can think of? We can think of our customer details. Yes, definitely customer is going to sign up for the particular policy. We can think of a policy because insurance is all about policies, right? The company is selling many different kinds of policy, term insurance, health insurance, car insurance, auto insurance, all those stuff. We will be captured everything in a policy detail data object. Similarly, we are creating one data object for the address and I'm creating one more for the watch list. Watch list. As in suppose sometimes there are fraud customers, right? They want to use some fake documents or they use some illegal attachments just to skip the credit check. In insurance department, we have an audit team, the credit check team. They will find that and then they will put that customer to the fraud watch list. Now this part, we are clear. The data object basically a collection or a data object of attributes. Now attribute is nothing but the properties. If you see here customer details, right? Customer detail as a whole is a data object which contain attributes. Attribute is nothing but properties like customer, ID, full name, date of birth, phone number, email and address. Now address. Here is a page property which refers to a one more data type, that is address. Because data type we have to enforce the usability. If you see, here I've mentioned one class data address posted. This class is packed in the out-of-the-box tool where we have these properties street, zip code and state. Why to create again same thing in our own data type? We can reuse it, right? That's why we are linking this address property with this existing class, that we can reuse these properties. Similarly, policy detail is a data object which have these four fields: policy number, issue date, payment model, policy type. Now, I have mentioned two things here. One is abstract and another one is a concrete. Whenever we create a class in Pega, we have two types: concrete class and abstract class. A concrete class you can understand in this way. When the particular class has an instance or a data associated with it that needs to be saved in DB, then it is a concrete class. But if there is no data or no instances that needs to be saved into DB, then it is an abstract class. Now, when we're talking about the data type, we also need to talk about the source of records, because sometime if you say right now in Pega application, we are capturing the customer details, full name, date of birth, even policy details also. But in a real-time scenario, there might be chances that some of the details are coming from a third-party system, right? Maybe third-party vendor who is providing some functionality, or they are a service provider for anything like the claims department, is completely, running outside the organization. In those cases, we can link our data type with the existing tables, sorry, external tables. This is just an introduction part of the data type. Till now, what we understood. What is the data type? What is abstract class? This doesn't have instances, which doesn't need data to be persisted in the database. That is abstract class. Concreter, we have to save the data and we have to save the instances in the database. That is a concrete. Source of record is where actually the data is stored. If we are saving the data in Pega, then Pega is a source of record. If data is saved in external table, then external table is a source of record. It's just we have to point our data type to that right source. We can access the data. Then data type is created to enforce the reusability, that right attributes were created at the right layer, that within the organization structure, everyone can use it properly. For example, I have a possibility that I can create these address here itself, right? Because address is a part of a customer. But instead of creating these properties again here, I'm using an existing data type or existing class, that is a data address post where by default, Pega giving me these properties: street, house numbers, zip code and state. This is just an introduction part. Now let's jump onto the Pega screen. Now if you see, till now we haven't worked on this data type tab. We are only taking the case that we are going through the classes in the App Explorer, expanding this leaf icon. We are creating properties and rules from here. Now let's go to data type. This is a data type explorer. If you see, at the top we have icon where we have these options: show or hide existing data type, add data type, showcase type, refresh, view external data entities, and view all test cases. Currently, we are talking about the add data type. I'll click on the add data type. Let's say now we are going to create customer details. Currently, we are creating a customer details data object. Now you see this giving us the class structure. Customer details parent classes care, life care app, and identify classes customer details because this is the name. I'll create it now. For the first time when we create a data type, this is the initial screen. Hey, you see we have a couple of tabs. Data model tab is there where we can create the associated properties for this data type. Then we have the usage. Usage is more about the data pages. Data pages we will cover tomorrow. Then we have the source. Like if we are going to link it with external table or through a local source, then those configuration we are going to do here. Then the records. Once we configure the source, as in, that means we are going to save the data right. If it is a local source, then in Pega DB itself, we are going to save that record. Those reports will be saved here. Now views. Data views is completely same as a case type views, where you have to create a view. You have to select the fields and then you can add it into the work screen. Let's go with that data model tab first. As we have discussed here, right? Let me show you. Let's add field like this way. Object or wait, let me delete this. I'll show you a different way under this data type. I'll create a data type for the batch list. At least I can show you source of record there. Batch list. Batch list is in our application. Now let's suppose in batch list we are using preflight customer ID. Let's say audit check found out that there are particular customer IDs. This is text which seems fraud. Now fraud type. I'll make this as pick list. Let's say invalid document. Take profile. Let's talk about only these two fields. We created a data type, or we can say a data object of name fraud batch list, which is of this particular class. And inside that data type, we are creating two attributes, or we can say two properties. That is customer ID and fraud type. Now, if you see here, this is empty as of now, no data page, no property reference, no undefined pages. We'll come to this data. Let's come to the source now. Now, this data type has no source, but we are going to store all these fraud batch list in Pega application because in Pega application only we are getting this data. It's better to maintain this rather than in an external system. I'll create a local source. If you see one thing here, whenever we create a data type, what exactly we are doing? Basically, I make a note also here. Whenever we create a data type from the data type is that it will create a concrete class. It's a default method that whenever you create a data type from here, I mean when you go to this data type explorer, you add that data type, then it will be of the concrete class. Next thing is that when we create a data type, it will define a database table at the backend. And now we are defining the columns of the table that needs to be visible. Right. We already created a table with that particular class. Now we are setting which column should be visible in the table. Now let's say customer ID is the primary key. I'll select this primary key. I created two properties here and rest of the properties are the common properties across any data type. These are the out-of-the-box properties. That's why you can't even see the delete icon because you see system fields cannot be removed. Now if I come down, you will see single list and savable data pages are generated. That means these are the out-of-the-box rule which Pega is creating for us to use. We will not discuss this today. Then in which data type or in which database we are creating our table with these two columns. That is customer data for now. And I guess Pega is providing 2 or 3 data types. 3. Customer data, Pega data and Pega data reporting. Tomorrow we'll also talk about the databases too. For now, I'll only select customer data. Now I will submit. This is a wizard, basically data type wizard. We call it as. It's a review mode where you can see customer ID is there, which is a primary key. Fraud type is there with text property. If you click on view detail, you can see one database table is created. This database table is mapped with this particular class. And these are some out-of-the-box rule which is created during this wizard. Like one report definition created. One database is created. One list database is created. And one savable database is created. Let's close this. Now you see option is gone. But if I come to the record step now, I can add data here. Now you see here source as local data source. If I go to action, I can click on show database information. Database is customer data. Table mapping is this one, this particular class, and the table name is this one. Now let's add one record here. I'll add a 1. Fraud type. Let's keep it invalid top. Now add record. It was a customer ID. This one, I'll change it to fake profile. I'll add it to record. But suppose in future you want to add 10,000 records, it will be very difficult, right? To manually click on this icon and then add record. To sort out this problem, Pega provides us this export and import feature. If I export this one, just a second, it is opening. If you see this data is here, but suppose here I want to add one more row. I'll add a -3. Same thing with this one. That's it. Let's keep it in 23. Now I'll try to import this same. Now, when I clicked on import, if you see we have a sources is V and add or update, that means it will take the primary key. If the primary key in our existing record or in the CSV file exists. If there is new field, this primary key is not there in the table, then it will add a record. Apart from that, you can go for add only and delete also. But right now, we only go for this. Choose file. Let's say which one I need to look for. What happened? Is it stuck? Reset. Oh, it's not a CSV. I think my system converted to a different format. One sec. My system, I don't have the MS Office. One purposeful. Let me. I have this thing. I'm trying to add A3 again. Let's see if I can save as that CSV. Let's try to input once again. Add or update. Choose file. Recent. Let's see if I can save as that CSV. Let's try to input once again. It is not taking through the out-of-the-box tools. No worries, but it will go like when you import, a new row will be added here. X. And now, if you see we have these two records in our Pega internal database, right? That means even in my case also. When we are creating the form, right? At that moment. Also, I can use this data that if any person with the same customer ID tries to create the case, we should ignore it or we could reject it because it is an invalid. Related to the fraud type, as per the fraud type, if I talk about view, it is the same thing, but let's create it once. Go to fields. I added fraud type and customer ID. Customer ID fraud type. I need to refresh. Customer ID fraud type. I created a new view. this view is added. Now, if you see, this view is a part of our data fraud watch list. But if you see our case type classes, here a life care one. That is a work class, work insurance. Both are different, right? One is a work class, another data class. To create a link or to create a bridge between this, we have to create a page property. That also we'll see. I'll rename this view as fraud list. In this data type, we have covered that. We created a concrete class. We created a concrete class and we added two attributes. And we also created bag as a source. That's why that particular option is now not coming because it is enabled. Once it is enabled, then you can add the records and we can see what is the table name that linked with this particular class. And we also created one view here. Now let's open this class, showing App Explorer. Then under this admin, you can see this class. Here you can see select class type, which is concrete. You can't change it once it is created. In the class creation, only we can check. Either you can select abstract or you can select concrete. Now it is creating which version? This class does not belong to any class group. Class group is again for usability. You can make a class group, then inside the group, if you have any class, those classes can reuse each other's property. Because we created customer ID as the key when we configured the table view. Customer ID key name is coming. Now, as per class inheritance, the parent class is here, life care data. Here life care data. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.